I just invested $36,000 into index fund-based ETFs. Now, at the time of doing this, the market is close to historic all-time highs. On the surface, this might sound like a really dumb move, because market highs give us the illusion that everything is overpriced, so it's probably better to wait for some minor or major correction. Let me show you why I think it always makes sense to invest in index funds at all-time highs. Just so we're all on the same page, when I say index funds throughout this video, I'm referring to traditional index funds and their ETF equivalent. But first, you probably want to know where this money came from. Because you're nosy. I just got divorced for the 11th time. It's what my ex-wife owes me from the settlement. I'm just kidding. She didn't have any money, so I didn't get anything. Okay, enough horsing around. It actually came from an old Roth IRA that I started contributing to about 11 years ago. I wanted to consolidate the account into my Roth IRA with M1 Finance just to simplify my finances a little bit. Since the money was all invested in traditional index funds within that Roth IRA, I had to sell them off because M1 Finance only allows stocks and ETFs on their platform. This is one of the many reasons that I personally prefer ETFs over traditional index funds. They can easily be transferred anywhere no matter what the platform is. I maxed out that Roth IRA with $5,500 per year for 2013, 14, and 15, so my cost basis is $16,500. For those of you who didn't pass first grade math, I more than doubled my money in 11 years. This is a benefit of staying in school and leaving your money invested for long periods of time. Help support my little dog Molly as well as this channel by hitting that thumbs up button. When I sold the index funds and deposited the money into my M1 account, I had a decision to make. Do I sit and wait until the market dips to buy back in, or do I just invest all of the money? It's easy to say just invest the money when we're talking about dollar cost averaging smaller amounts or even a smaller chunk of money. But for myself, and probably most of you out there, $36,000 is a lot of freaking money. So it makes you stop just to think for a few minutes. Because at this point, the market is at all-time highs. We've never seen prices like this in the history of the stock market. The Shiller PE ratio is a tool some people use to understand whether the stock market is expensive or cheap. Think of it like a price tag on the overall stock market. The higher the number, the more expensive. As you can see, it peaked towards the end of 2021, then dropped when the stock market declined in 2022. But right now, it is trending up again. When we consider that we're sitting at 35 when the average is 17, some might say that the market is way overpriced and due for a correction. But here's the thing, it's only considered expensive when compared to what it's been historically. And publicly traded companies of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s are way less valuable than the ones of today. Here's a list of some of the top companies in 1990. None of them are even close to as valuable as the ones of today. Heck, Boeing can't even keep the doors on their airplanes or safely bring their astronauts back from space. So while the overall market is at all-time highs and looks expensive when compared to history, is it really? Or are today's biggest companies just different in that it's dominated by more profitable sectors like tech? Negativity bias will have us believe that if the stock market is doing well for long enough or hits new highs, there must be a crash right around the corner because some sort of balance needs restored back in the world. But stock market highs are actually a really good thing and nothing to be concerned about for long-term investors because it's a sign of growth. This isn't to say that there won't be hiccups or downturns in the short term. But predicting how it'll happen, when it'll happen, and by how much is a waste of time. If you're an artist or running an online store, I have something pretty cool that I want to show you. You know how running a business can be super rewarding, but also a bit overwhelming when it comes to little details like production and shipping? Well, that's where Gelato comes in. They've made everything so much easier. Here's the deal. Gelato is like having a global production team right at your fingertips without the hassle of hiring and managing it all. They've got this amazing system where you can create custom designs for your products like t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, wall art, or whatever you're into. If you're like me and not an artsy-fartsy type of person, then no problem. You can add personalized elements to your designs with their free tools to make it just right for what your customers like. Here's how it works. Start by creating your design. You can keep it simple or get as creative as you want, and Gelato gives you all of the tools to make it happen. Here's a hoodie I created based on my investing style. buy index funds, and then do nothing. When your customer checks out your store, they can actually customize the design themselves, add their name, change the colors, or whatever fits their style. And here's the magic. Once your customer finalizes their order, Gelato automatically sends the design to their nearest production partner. So instead of waiting forever for something to ship from halfway across the world, it's made locally and gets to your customer way faster. It's a win-win for everyone. And don't worry, because Gelato has got you covered with over 50 product categories and integrations with platforms like Shopify, Etsy, and Amazon. They also have a 24/7 support team to answer any questions that you have. No need to wait around until customer service is back in the office to get some help. So if you're looking to take your business up a notch without the hassle of hiring a big team, then click the link in the description to sign up with Gelato for free and get 50% off your first order. The stock market hitting all-time highs feels like a very rare event. When it happens, it is plastered all over the internet like it's the first time that I saw this hawk swoop down and drag a squirrel around my backyard. But it's not. In fact, it's an event that's more common than you having to pay your electric bill every single month. In the 2020s, we've already seen 104 of them, which is about 20 per year. And the decade before that, we averaged about 24 per year. It's just a natural part of the market's upward trend over the long term. This is why trying to time the market based on highs is a loser's game. Instead of getting spooked or overly excited, the key is to stick to your strategy and keep investing consistently, because these highs are just a part of the ride. On the other hand, something that is rare are market corrections after you invest at all-time highs. Since 1950, we've seen about 1,250 all-time highs in the S&P 500. After 1 year, we only saw a more than 10% correction 9% of the time. 2% of the time after 3 years, and 0% of the time after 5 and even 10 years. This means that while market corrections do happen, they're relatively rare after the market hits an all-time high, especially over longer time horizons. The data shows that the fear of a major drop following a high is often exaggerated. JP Morgan also found that cumulative returns are higher after 1, 3, and 5 years if you invested at all-time highs versus if you invested on any other random day. This isn't due to some secret magic trick or how the stars and moon are aligning that year. It's because the stock market is up more often than it's down. If you stop to think about why that is, it totally makes sense. For us index fund investors with a buy and hold strategy, it's easy to overlook what's actually happening behind something like an S&P 500 or total market fund. These funds represent ownership in hundreds or even thousands of real operational companies that contribute to the overall growth of the market. What's even more amazing is that we live in a society where these companies are driven by hundreds or even thousands of people. Every day, these individuals go to work to innovate, solve problems, and push their publicly traded companies forward. This constant pursuit of progress doesn't just keep businesses running, it drives their profitability and in return increases the value of our investments. So when you see the market hitting all-time highs, it's not just a number. It's the result of ongoing success of these companies. As long as they continue to grow, our investments in these index funds will continue to grow as well, which will make the strategy of buying at all-time highs and holding a very sound approach. Knowing all the stats behind why it always makes sense to invest at all-time highs is one thing. Actually doing it is a whole different beast. It's why some doctors know how bad it is to be overweight and unhealthy, yet are still overweight and unhealthy. It's why some police officers will arrest people for drinking and driving, yet still drink and drive themselves. The issue isn't a lack of information or data, it is human behavior. With all of the facts at our fingertips, our emotions and instincts can lead us in the wrong direction, which will cause us to make impulsive decisions rather than sticking to a sound strategy. Behavioral biases like fear, greed, and the urge to react to market noise are what truly undermine long-term investment success. I'd be lying if I said that it didn't cross my mind to wait to invest that $36,000 because of all of the what-if scenarios my monkey brain came up with. It's never been easier to confirm your beliefs about sitting in cash until the market dips down just a little bit. Go ask any of the people who talk about macroeconomics publicly. Listen to them long enough and you'll be convinced to sell out of everything by the end of the week and buy gold. The founder of Vanguard, Jack Bogle, has incepted my mind enough to where whenever the idea of sitting in cash crosses my mind, I am reminded of what he always said. You never want to be either in or out of the market. You only want to be in the market. So when that thought crossed my mind before the money had fully rolled into my Roth IRA, it left pretty darn quick, since the biggest risk to me was not being in the market. Because if I keep the money in cash, one thing is guaranteed: it will not grow. But if I invested the money as soon as possible, then there are two potential outcomes: go down in the short term or go up in the long term. In fact, at a 7% average annual return for 30 years, that $36,000 I just invested at all-time highs will grow to $274,000. But only because I invested it as quickly as possible. I do want to recognize that from a behavioral perspective, each of us have different thresholds when it comes to how much we'd be willing to invest all at once versus dollar cost average. Give me $200,000 and I would have no problem investing all of it at once. Give me $800,000 or more and I might choose to dollar cost average it over something like a 6-month period. Your threshold might be $10,000 for lump sum investing and $50,000 or more for dollar cost averaging, which is perfectly fine. If you choose to dollar cost average, it's important not to spread it out over too long of a period though. For people with a longer time horizon, my personal cutoff is 6 months, because anything longer than that keeps money out of the market for way too long, which would disappoint Mr. Jack Bogle, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to disappoint him. Since we can all get a little emotional when money is involved, I think it's extremely important to have some rules around how you invest. Recognizing your tendencies and committing to a disciplined, emotion-free strategy is what separates successful investors from the rest. This won't completely prevent you from the irrational thoughts that might pop up in your head, but it at least gives you some sort of personal rules to fall back on. I borrowed a lot of my initial rules from Jack Bogle and added a few more that are tailored to my specific behaviors. Also recognize when rules do not suit you any longer. As we get older and personal experiences change, you might find that a few of them need to be either eliminated or adjusted based on what's happening in your personal life. For example, a rule of mine was to give myself a few $1,000s of fun investing money every year, which prevented me from touching my long-term buy and hold index fund portfolio. Up until a few years ago, it wasn't fun for me any longer and was actually having a negative side effect. Whenever I had fun money in the market, I was constantly paying attention to everything that was going on. Thinking about what's going on in the stock market on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis is my definition of a nightmare. I would rather have to sit through a full WNBA game or fold my laundry than have to pay attention to the stock market. If you want to learn more about Jack Bogle's rules for investing, then you can watch this video to your left next. Help support the channel by hitting that thumbs up button before you go. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Done.